Think the planting season is over? Think again. While your neighbors are winding down their gardens, smart growers are gearing up for round two. July is secretly one of the best planting months of the entire year, and the crops you sow right now could feed you well into fall and even winter. But the window is closing fast. Here are 7 crops you'll seriously regret not planting before July ends. Let's dig in. Number 1, bush beans. If you only plant one thing this month, make it bush beans. These fast-growing legumes are practically made for July planting, and here's why. Most bush bean varieties go from seed to harvest in just 50 to 60 days. Do the math, and beans planted in mid-July will be filling your basket by early to mid-September, well before the first frost hits most of the country. And July actually gives beans a head start that spring planting never could. Bean seeds are notoriously fussy about cold soil. Plant them in chilly April dirt and they'll sulk, rot, or take 2 weeks just to break the surface. But in July, when soil temperatures are sitting comfortably between 70 and 80 degrees, bean seeds explode out of the ground in as little as 5 to 7 days. That's germination at warp speed. Unlike pole beans, bush varieties don't need trellises or support structures. They grow into compact, self-supporting little plants about 1 to 2 feet tall, which makes them perfect for squeezing into the gaps left behind by your harvested spring crops. Pulled out your lettuce or spinach? Drop some bean seeds right in that empty spot. For a July planting, look for reliable, quick-maturing varieties like Provider, Contender, or Blue Lake 274. Sow the seeds about 1 inch deep and 2 to 3 inches apart. Water them in well and keep the soil consistently moist until they sprout. Here's a bonus that most gardeners don't think about. Beans actually improve your soil while they grow. As legumes, they partner with bacteria in the soil to pull nitrogen straight out of the air and fix it into the ground. So even after you've eaten every last pod, your beans leave the soil richer than they found it. A free fertilizer boost for whatever you plant there next. Want to stretch the harvest even further? Try succession planting. Instead of sowing all your seeds at once, plant a short row now and another one 10 days later. Because bush beans tend to produce their crop in 1 or 2 concentrated flushes, staggering your plantings means a steady stream of tender beans for weeks instead of one overwhelming avalanche followed by nothing. One word of caution though, beans are frost tender, so check your area's average first frost date and count backward. As long as you have about 60 to 70 days of frost-free weather left, you're golden. For most of the United States, that means getting seeds in the ground before July wraps up. Wait until August. And in northern states, you'll be racing the frost, and the frost usually wins. Number 2, zucchini and summer squash. Wait, zucchini in July? Absolutely. In fact, a second planting of zucchini might just outperform your first one, and there's a sneaky reason why. Zucchini is one of the fastest producers in the entire vegetable kingdom, with many varieties ready to harvest just 45 to 55 days after planting. Sow seeds in mid-July, and you'll be picking fresh squash by early September, right when everyone else's spring-planted zucchini is tired, mildewed, and giving up for the season. But here's the real secret, the squash vine borer. This destructive pest is the #1 killer of zucchini plants in most of the country. The adult moths lay their eggs at the base of squash plants primarily in early summer, mainly June through early July, in most regions. Their larvae then tunnel into the stems and destroy the plant from the inside out. It's heartbreaking, and it happens to thousands of gardeners every single year. The beautiful part? By the time your July-planted zucchini seedlings are up and growing, the vine borer's main egg-laying window has largely passed in many areas. Your late squash essentially sneaks in after the enemy has left the battlefield. Many experienced gardeners plant zucchini in July for this exact reason. Planting couldn't be simpler. Zucchini seeds love warm soil, so sow them about 1 inch deep, either in small hills or rows, spacing plants about 2 to 3 feet apart. In July's heat, seedlings often emerge within a week. Give them full sun, generous water, and rich soil, and they'll grow at an almost alarming pace. Great varieties for a fast fall harvest include Black Beauty, a classic heirloom, and Dunya, a quick, high-yielding hybrid with good disease resistance. Yellow summer squash varieties like early prolific straightneck work beautifully too. One tip for late-season squash: as fall approaches and pollinator activity slows down, keep an eye on your female flowers. If you notice tiny squash forming but then shriveling, poor pollination is likely the culprit. You can easily hand-pollinate by taking a male flower and dabbing its pollen onto the center of the female blooms. 30 seconds of matchmaking, and you've secured your harvest. Remember, zucchini is extremely frost-sensitive, so this one's a July job, not an August one. Get it in the ground now, and you'll be the only one on the block still handing out fresh squash in late September. Number 3, cucumbers. Craving crisp, cool cucumbers well into fall? Then don't let July slip away without planting a second crop. Cucumbers are sprinters, not marathon runners. Many varieties mature in just 50 to 60 days, and in warm July soil, they germinate almost overnight, often in as little as 3 to 5 days. That speed is exactly what makes a midsummer planting work. There's another reason a July sowing makes sense. Spring-planted cucumber vines usually start crashing by August. Between cucumber beetles, powdery mildew, and plain old exhaustion, those early plants slow down and stop producing right when you're still craving them. A fresh planting in early to mid-July gives you young, vigorous vines that hit peak production in September, just as the old ones give out. For late plantings, choose fast, compact varieties. Bush Champion and Salad Bush are excellent space-saving options that mature in around 55 to 60 days, while Marketmore 76 remains one of the most dependable slicers in America. If you love pickles, Boston pickling and National pickling are quick and productive. Sow seeds directly in the garden, about ½ an inch to an inch deep. If space is tight, grow them up a trellis. Cucumbers climb happily, and vertical growing keeps the fruit straighter, cleaner, and easier to spot. Trellised vines also get better airflow, which helps hold off powdery mildew, the biggest threat to late-season cukes. Now, water is non-negotiable here. Cucumbers are roughly 95% water, and plants that dry out produce bitter, misshapen fruit. In the July heat, that means deep watering several times a week, and a good layer of mulch, straw, or shredded leaves work great to lock in soil moisture and keep the roots cool. Harvest comes fast once it starts. Pick cucumbers young and often. The more you pick, the more the plant produces. Leave one giant yellow cucumber on the vine, and the plant thinks its job is done and slows down dramatically. Like beans and squash, cucumbers won't survive frost, so timing matters. Aim to have your seeds planted by mid-July in northern states and by the end of the month in warmer regions. Miss that window, and you'll spend September buying rubbery grocery store cucumbers while your neighbor, the one who planted in July, crunches into homegrown ones. Number 4, carrots. Here's something most people don't know. The absolute best carrots you will ever taste aren't spring carrots, they're fall carrots, and July is when you plant them. The magic comes down to simple plant chemistry. Carrots are biennials that store energy in their roots, and when cool autumn weather arrives, they convert some of their starches into sugars, which acts as a natural antifreeze. The result? Carrots that mature in the cool days of fall and get kissed by a light frost turn noticeably sweeter and crisper than anything you pulled in June. Gardeners call them candy carrots for a reason. Most carrot varieties need somewhere between 60 and 80 days to mature, so a July sowing lines up perfectly with a sweet October harvest. Excellent choices for fall include Napoli, famous for its sugary flavor, along with dependable classics like Danvers 126, Bolero, and Scarlet Nantes. Now, fair warning, Getting carrots to germinate in the heat of July takes a little strategy, because carrot seeds refuse to sprout in dry soil. Prepare a loose, rock-free bed. Sow the tiny seeds about a 1/4 inch deep, and then keep that soil surface constantly moist for up to 2 weeks. An old gardener's trick is to lay a wooden board, piece of cardboard, or burlap over the seeded row to hold in moisture and keep the soil cooler. Just check daily and remove it the moment you see sprouts. Once they're up, thin the seedlings to about 2 inches apart. It feels ruthless, but crowded carrots grow twisted, stunted, and tangled. Thinning is the difference between a photo-worthy harvest and a pile of hairy little stubs. And here's the trick that makes fall carrots truly special. You don't have to harvest them all at once. In many regions, carrots can stay right in the ground into early winter. Once cold weather settles in, pile 6 to 12 inches of straw or shredded leaves over the bed, and the soil becomes a natural refrigerator. You can pull fresh, sweet carrots for Thanksgiving dinner, and in milder areas, even Christmas. Spring carrots also have to battle heat, which can turn them bitter, and pests like the carrot rust fly, which is often less troublesome for later sowings. Fall carrots dodge most of that drama entirely. They germinate in warmth, mature in coolness, and sweeten in the cold. It's the perfect life cycle, but only if the seeds hit the soil before July ends. Number 5. Beets. Beets might just be the most underrated crop on this entire list, because you're not really planting one crop and you're planting two. Every beet plant gives you a double harvest: nutritious, earthy roots below ground and tender, vitamin-packed greens above it. Beet greens are loaded with vitamin A, vitamin K, and minerals, and they cook up much like Swiss chard, which makes sense since beets and chard are literally the same species. Snip a leaf or two from each plant while the roots keep growing, and you get salads now and roasted beets later. Timing-wise, beets are tailor-made for July. Most varieties mature in just 50 to 60 days, and unlike beans or cucumbers, beets don't fear the frost. They actually tolerate light freezes just fine, and cool fall weather improves their flavor and color, giving you sweeter, deeper red roots than a summer harvest ever could. That built-in frost insurance means a late July planting still has plenty of cushion almost anywhere in the country. Here's a quirky fact that will instantly make you a better beet grower. Each beet seed is actually a dried fruit cluster containing several true seeds. That's why beets always come up in crowded little clumps, no matter how carefully you space them. The fix is simple. Once seedlings are a couple of inches tall, thin each cluster down to a single plant, leaving about 3 to 4 inches between beets. And don't toss those thinnings. The baby greens are delicious in salads. To plant, sow seeds about 1/2 inch deep in loose, well-drained soil. Soaking the seeds in water for a few hours before planting softens that tough outer coating and speeds up germination, which typically takes 5 to 10 days in warm summer soil. Keep the bed evenly watered, because drought, stressed beets turn woody and develop unappetizing white rings inside. For varieties, you can't go wrong with Detroit Dark Red, the all-American classic, or Boro, a fast and uniform hybrid. Want something fun? Kioja beets reveal gorgeous red and white bullseye rings when sliced, and golden beets bring a milder, sweeter flavor without staining your cutting board crimson. Come October, harvest the roots when they're between golf ball and tennis ball size. That's when texture and flavor peak. Stored in a cool place, fall beets will keep for months. 2 harvests, frost resistance, and months of storage, all from one packet of seeds planted in July. That's about the best deal in gardening. Number 6, kale. If fall gardening had a king, it would be kale, and July is your coronation window. Here's the thing about kale: planting it in spring is honestly doing it dirty. Spring kale matures into summer heat, which makes the leaves tough and bitter, and it gets shredded by cabbage worms all season long. But flip the script and plant kale in July, and everything changes. The plants size up during late summer, then mature into the cool days of fall, which is exactly when kale becomes a completely different vegetable. Just like carrots, kale responds to cold by converting starches into sugars to protect its cells from freezing. After the first light frost, those big leafy greens turn noticeably sweeter, more tender, and less bitter. Ask any seasoned gardener, and they'll tell you frost-kissed kale barely resembles the stuff sold in summer. And kale's cold tolerance is almost superhuman. Established plants shrug off hard freezes, with many varieties surviving temperatures down to around 10 degrees Fahrenheit, sometimes lower, with protection. That means a July planting doesn't just feed you in fall. In much of the country, you can brush snow off the plants and keep harvesting into December. With a simple cold frame or row cover, some gardeners pick kale all winter long. Most kale varieties need about 50 to 65 days to reach full size, though you can start picking baby leaves in as little as a month. For fall and winter growing, winter boar is a cold, hardy champion with beautifully ruffled blue-green leaves. Lacinato, also called dinosaur kale, brings that dark, bumpy Tuscan elegance, and red Russian is fast, tender, and stunning with its purple veins. Sow seeds about 1/4 to 1/2 inch deep, either directly in the garden or in trays for transplanting. In July's warmth, they'll pop up within about a week. Space plants roughly 12 to 18 inches apart, and give young seedlings some afternoon shade or extra water during heat waves. They just need to survive the summer because fall is when they'll thrive. As a bonus, cabbage worm pressure naturally declines as the weather cools, so your fall kale often stays far cleaner than any spring planting. Nutritionally, you're planting a powerhouse. Kale is packed with vitamins A, C, and K, along with calcium, antioxidants, and fiber, one of the most nutrient-dense foods you can grow in a backyard. And when it's coming from your own frost-sweetened fall garden, it tastes worlds better than the pale bags at the supermarket for pennies on the dollar. To harvest, pick the outer leaves and let the center keep producing. Treated this way, a single July planted kale plant becomes a leafy green vending machine that keeps dispensing for months. Sweeter flavor, fewer pests, and harvest through the holidays. Miss this planting, and you'll be kicking yourself come November. Number 7, turnips. Last but definitely not least, the humble turnip. Stop rolling your eyes. This old-fashioned vegetable is one of the fastest, easiest, and most rewarding crops you can plant in July. And modern varieties might completely change your opinion of it. Speed is the turnip's superpower. Most varieties mature in just 40 to 60 days, and some are even quicker. Hakare, the famous Japanese salad turnip, is ready in as little as 38 days, so fast that a late July sowing delivers harvests by early September. These small, white, tender turnips are so mild and sweet that you can eat them raw like an apple, and they have become a bestseller at farmers markets across the country. Like beets, turnips are a 2-for-1 crop. The peppery greens are actually more nutritious than the roots, absolutely loaded with vitamins A, C, and K, and they are a beloved staple of Southern cooking. Harvest a few leaves as the roots develop, and you have doubled your yield without planting a single extra seed. Turnips also share that wonderful fall crop trait we keep coming back to. Frost makes them better. Cool weather and light freezes sweeten the roots and mellow their bite, while hot weather turnips tend to be woody and harsh. That is exactly why a July planting beats a spring one. The roots bulk up as temperatures fall, hitting peak flavor in October. Growing them could not be easier. Sprinkle seeds about 1/4 to 1/2 inch deep directly in the garden. Turnips dislike transplanting, and in warm soil, they will germinate in under a week. Thin seedlings to about 3 to 4 inches apart keep the bed watered, and that's genuinely about it. Turnips are famously unfussy, tolerating mediocre soil where pickier crops complain. For classic cooking turnips, purple top white globe is the iconic American standard, ready in about 50 to 55 days, and it stores for months in a cool basement or refrigerator. For fresh eating, hacare and other salad types are the gateway turnips that convert skeptics. Harvest globe types when they are 2 to 3 inches across for the best texture, leave them too long, and they get pithy. And in milder regions, mulched turnips can sit in the ground well into winter, ready whenever you are. Fast, foolproof, frostproof, and a double harvest to boot. The turnip is the perfect crop to squeeze in before the July deadline slams shut. So there you have it, 7 crops that turn the second half of summer into a whole new growing season. The clock is ticking, so grab those seed packets this weekend. Which of these will you be planting? Let us know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and share it with a fellow gardener. And be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching.